Okay. I've been grading your Unit 1 essays. The feedback should be available to you on Blackboard. So when you go into look at your grade, right next to it will be a little comment bubble. If you click on that comment bubble, you should be able to see your feedback. It's really important to read the feedback. A lot of times I praise you for things that I'm seeing that you're doing really well. But then I also talk about things you want to consider, especially as we move forward in different writing assignments this semester. So please go in and look at that feedback and let me know if you have any questions. If you don't have yours yet, do not worry. I have about 6 left in the queue. My hope is to get those finished up today. So anyway, that's an update on that. I've also been checking for homework and things. Don't forget, we do not have a RET lab this week that's due. So this week would be a great time to make up any RET labs that you're missing. I will put in the chat the ones that I've looked for so far. If you need to make one up though, remember, I don't get back into the space to look for them after I've checked. If you make anything up, you'll need to send me an email saying I've made up this, this, and this. Okay, I'll go back in, check, give you feedback if I need to. And that sort of thing. Ms. Black's going to go over this about your review work. So like the 1-minute reviews that you were supposed to have done over the weekend. Remember, a lot of that's posted to the class blog. So even though Ms. Black's teaching, I'm still going to be in the space checking for the work, updating your writing process grades and things like that. So just keep that in mind. And I think that's it from me. Does anyone have any questions? All right, and I'm handing it over to Miss Black.
All right, hello. Let's see, I'm gonna share my screen, but I'm gonna try to make sure that it doesn't do anything weird when I do that. Let's see, I'll share desktop and then slide. If I had a different window, you'd see all my Madewell tabs and I'd be revealed to you. Let's see. Go back a little bit. All right. So since this is my first day teaching, well, hello, first of all, but since this is my first day teaching, this is the same screen, the same opening screen that Mrs. B uses on her PowerPoints and has been using the whole time, but I just wanted to make sure and say to make sure that you're on mute when you're not speaking. Just because, right, like I don't really care if there's background noise theoretically, but because of the way that Zoom works, if there is background noise from somebody else's mic, then it like takes the mic away from the person who is speaking and gives it to the background noise instead. I think that Zoom is maybe poorly designed that that's the case, but that is the case, so we have to make sure that our mics are off when we're not talking. But that being said, you're welcome to unmute at any time and ask questions if you want. You can also send them in the chat. Because I am sharing my screen, I can't see the chat, but Mrs. B will be in the chat like I've been responding to y'all's questions as you send them. Just know that like if you want to send a message privately to me, I'm not going to see that until after I stop sharing my screen at the end of class. So if you have a question, make sure you put it in the larger chat, or if you want it to be private, you can private message Mrs. B, or you can just email it to me later, or just stay after class. But I just wanted y'all to be aware of all that. Let's see. So next up, we're going to do the roll call. And when I call your name, I want you to tell me what a secret talent of yours is. So it doesn't have to be like super a secret. If you have like any weird little bar tricks that you can do, or anything that you just think is super neat that you can do, or that people have told you is neat, then that's what I want to hear. But also, if you just are particularly good at anything, if you can play any instruments, any normal talents too. So I'll go first. And my secret talent is that when I was in the 3rd grade, I learned how to spell the longest word in the dictionary. And it is pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. And it is spelled PNEUMONOULTRA-MICRO-SCOPIC-SIL-ICOVOLCANOCONIOSIS. And Mrs. B has heard me spell that 3 times now today. But yeah, so that is my secret talent. And I will hand it over to her.
I am still super impressed by this talent. I don't know if y'all can see me, but my secret talent is, or one of them, I have so many. No. I have a hitchhiker's thumb, like a legit hitchhiker's thumb. So you know how most people's thumb, I don't know if y'all can see my screen, but it's like that. This is how my thumb goes. I mean, completely flat. So anyway, that's my secret talent.
Great. Thank you. Let's see. Do we have Sarah Ada?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're welcome to email anytime and say, hey, can you meet on this day? It's not Tuesday or Thursday, and then we'll work that out. But I just want y'all to remember that you can pop into office hours on either of those days or set up a meeting outside those office hours. Also, don't forget to be doing your daily rights. I know that I'm like banging on about this because I said it in the last video too, but just like it's important. It's important not only because you're getting a participation grade for it, and not only because it helps us get to know y'all because we aren't in the classroom together. It helps us get a sense of what y'all are like and to talk to y'all, but also because your final project, your final reflection depends on the work that you're doing in your daily rights. So if you realize now, if you're like, oh no, I'm really behind on my daily rights, that's okay. You can go ahead and make those up, but you should let us know that you've made those up. Email us to tell us after you've done it, so that we can go back in and check and see and then give you participation credit for that. But yes, it's important to be doing it. It's ideal if you're doing it on the day that it's due so that you can be really tracking your progress. But if you need to go back and make up a bunch of them right now, we're not quite halfway through the semester yet, so there's still time for you to make them up and then proceed throughout the rest of the semester as if you're on track, which you will be. The next thing is to make sure that you're posting all your assignments in the right place. So Mrs. B talked about this a little bit, but you're not going to lose credit just for posting something in the wrong place just because like I'm mad that you posted in the wrong place, right? Like that doesn't matter to me, but I might not see the post if you post in the wrong place. If I'm looking in one place, oh, was somebody saying something? Okay. If you're posting something in the wrong place and I'm checking in a different place for it, I'm not going to see it, so I'm not going to be able to give you credit for it. So just make sure that you're posting things in the right place. Your daily rights are pretty much always going to be on your personal blog, and everything else, all the other assignments are going to be on the class blog and the comments on a post that I will make that will say this assignment is due here. So it should be fairly obvious. But if you're ever confused, then just email us, let us know. Yes. Any questions about this? Okay. And again, make sure y'all are muted because I'm hearing something kind of weird and I don't know where it's coming from. Okay. So the rhetorical appeals, I know that I've kind of dug my heels in on this one, but I want to make sure that y'all know what these are because they're useful, right? Like it's not like I'm going to test you on them, but you need to know what they are so that you can use them effectively. It's not like you need to be able to like define these terms or anything, but you need to know what they are so that you can utilize them in your writing. It's going to be important every day for the rest of your life to know how to use these, even if you forget what they're called, even if you don't know what they are. They're really important and you're already using them every day and they're being used against or towards you every day by everybody that you talk to. So you just need to know what they are and how to use them and how to recognize them. So first of all, ethos, again, is an appeal to credibility. So that's you need to take me seriously because I know what I'm talking about or because I'm citing someone who knows what they're talking about. So again, that's what y'all were trying to do in your first paper, in your Unit 1 paper, when you establish credibility, when you say like, well, Nadine Burke-Harris knows what she's talking about because she's a pediatrician, blah, blah, blah. That's important because why should I take you seriously if you don't know what you're talking about or if you're not citing people who know what they're talking about? An appeal to pathos is an appeal to emotion. So the appeal that says like, this should make you feel something, like this should make you really sad. This matters because it's really sad, or it should be upsetting to you, or etc. So again, that's Dr. Mona and the babies, right? Like she gets the attention of the people by saying like, hey, this is affecting babies. And everybody suddenly is like, oh my God, you're right. This is affecting babies. Why didn't we notice this before? We have to do something now. Pathos is really the, we have to do something appeal. And then there's logos, an appeal to logic, exactly what it sounds like, logos, logic. And that's the appeal of facts. So it's when you hand somebody the facts and say, like, you can make your own conclusions about this, but here's what's true. And I'm trying to convince you of something specific based on the facts that I'm giving you. So the important thing that I'll note here is that, again, kind of like I said in my video, an appeal to logos is only effective if the facts that you're using are true facts. If you are intentionally lying, or if you are using misguided or accidentally incorrect facts, like if you share a post on Facebook that you think has true facts in it, but it actually is not true facts, it's actually like somebody else made that post and they were lying, then that's not an effective appeal to logos, right? Even if you intend to share facts, it's not an effective appeal to logos because they aren't true. What you're doing in that case, if you're lying or sharing misguided facts, is you're actually appealing to pathos, because you're saying you don't care. You're not saying that you don't care, but you're saying to your audience, hey, you don't care as much about the facts as the way that something makes you feel, right? So, and that's something that plenty of people do all the time. But if you're going to do that, you need to know that you're doing it, and you need to be able to recognize when it's being done to you. Because a lot of stuff on the internet is pretending to be an appeal to logos when it's actually an appeal to pathos. It's people saying facts, saying stuff that's not true, but they're like, this is true, you should care about this, when in fact it is simply not true at all. So you need to be able to recognize it. And then finally, we have the appeal to kairos, which is the one that not as many people are familiar with, which is the appeal to timeliness. So that's the, here's why it matters right now, and here's why it matters to you. This is why I'm telling you this and why you should care. So that's going to be, right, like if you're, like the Ret Lab module, if you've done that, and you should have by now, it, I believe, says that you need to apply kairos to the other appeals to make it make more sense. So an appeal to kairos and logos would be to use statistics from recent research, right, rather than outdated research. The kairos is also the so what of your argument. So if you're writing a paper and I don't know at the end of the paper, so what, like I don't know why I should care, then you haven't written a good paper. The kairos is the so what. It is the here's why this matters. If you wanna have a visual, you can picture ethos, pathos, and logos as a triangle with each of those at one point, and then kairos in the middle in a little circle. Because it's really the thing that connects all the other appeals and what holds them all together. Because why would like, if you hand me a graph about something that I don't care about, or about like an issue that was only prevalent in the 1960s, like why should I care about that? But kairos is saying like, this matters right now, this matters to you, here's why you should care about it, and I'm going to make you care about it by appealing to all these other things. Are there any questions about this? Okay. So next up we have purpose and audience. So these are going to help you decide, right, which of the appeals you want to implement and how. In a balanced argument, you're going to kind of implement all the appeals at once, like at different levels, but purpose and audience are going to help you figure out like in what ratios you want to implement those. So your purpose is going to be, what do you want? How do you plan to get it? And what's the most effective way of going about getting it? So the example I've been using in my other classes is, let's say you want a new car. You want a new car really bad. So that's your what do you want? How do you plan to get it? Well, you think, my mom would probably buy me a new car if I asked her. I just have to ask her the right way. So how do you plan to get it? Ask your mom. What's the most effective way of going about it? Asking her the right way. So then that transitions into your audience. Who are you trying to get what you want from? Your mom, you've decided. And what do you know about that person? So what do you know about your mom? You might know that in the morning before she goes to work, she's really grumpy because she hasn't had her coffee yet. But after she gets home from work and has had dinner, she's more relaxed. So she's usually more receptive to your questions. So in that case, you don't want to ask her for a car in the morning because she's going to be angry until you know. But you might want to ask her after work because she might be more likely to say yes. Or you might want to make her favorite dinner and then say, hey, Mom, I made you this really nice dinner. By the way, would you happen to buy me a car? And once you've narrowed down like what you know about that person and how it might be effective to ask them, then you can start thinking about your appeals. Your mom might respond well to logic and facts. So you might want to say like, hey, Mom, I have I have a job that I have to get to. Here's how much money I make at that job. Here's how much more money I could be making if I had a car to drive myself to work. Here's how much I'd be paying for gas. In about 6 months, I'd have made enough money to pay you back for the car, etc. Or she might respond better to pathos. It might be that your mom would respond better to you being like, please, mom, can I have a car? I can never hang out with my friends because I don't have a car and they always go places without me. And like, I want to be able to go places. So it just kind of depends on who you're talking to and what you want to get from them. So you're going to do your daily write next, and I'm going to give you 10 minutes for that. I'm giving you so much time, so it better be good. No, I'm kidding. But so you're going to do your daily write, and you're going to write about a time that you've used one of the appeals, and you can use multiple if you like, but you can focus on one too. So that's going to be ethos, logos, and pathos, although you can write about kairos if you would like, to get something that you wanted. So you're going to tell me what you wanted, who was your audience, and did you succeed in getting what you wanted? So yes, I'm going to start the timer for 10 minutes, and we will reconvene then. To you, and you also use pathos of like, hey, aren't I cute? Don't you love me very much? I'm your daughter. And then you use logos too, because you have that in common with your dad, that you both like to know the facts. Wonderful, great. Who else?
I can share.
Great.
So I said that I use logos, and I talked about like an argument with my friend and how we're talking about like a football player, and I use like stats to prove him wrong.
Great, awesome, fantastic. So you wanna convince your friend that you are right, your audience is your friend, and you know that he responds well to facts, so that you use logos. Great. This is proving my point, right? That you use the appeals every day, even if you didn't know what they were called before. Like in any argument with your friend or in any like conversation with your parents, like you want something and you're trying to get it. And you're using these appeals even if you don't know what they're called. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next slide. All right, so this isn't the last slide, but I do want to go over it just in case anybody has any questions. So what you need to do before Wednesday is, it's all on the calendar, but I just want to go over it just to make sure. So you're going to listen to the episodes of Song Exploder, the podcast that are listed on the calendar. That's the Meek Mill episode and the Soccer Mommy episode. You're going to listen to both of those, and then you're going to write a response based on the question on the calendar, and then you're going to post that to the class blog, not your personal blog, to the class blog. There will be a post dedicated to that says post your responses to Song Exploder here. That may or may not be the same post as the post where you put your pitchfork review. It'll either be 2 separate posts on the class blog, or it'll be 1 post on the class blog, but either way, that'll all be on the class blog. You'll post your daily write still on your personal blog, but all of that will be on the class blog, and it should be fairly self-evident. It should say like, here's where you post your assignments, but if you have any questions, again, just let me know. So you're going to post your Song Exploder response, and then you're going to do your 5-minute review, which is your 250 to 500 word review based on the Pitchfork review. So you're going to go to pitchfork.com, and you're going to look up an album that you love, and you are going to review that review. So you're going to say, do I agree with this person? Like, do I think they gave it a fair review? Is the tone right? Like, would I give this album a different score? Stuff like that. And yes, and so then you're going to post all of that on the class blog. Do we have any questions about this?
Is it going to be 2 separate, like, things to post under, or do we post both of the responses under one?
I'm not sure yet about that, but I will email y'all and let y'all know when I've decided that. I'll have to decide it tomorrow when I post the video, and I'll email everybody and let y'all know if it's going to be 2 separate posts or if it's just going to be 1 post. But either way, it's all going to be on the class blog, so you just go to the class blog on Wednesday and scroll down, and you should be able to see everything that's there. So you'll be able to tell if it's just 1 post or if it's 2 posts.
Okay, thank
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on. All right, so we have enough time for this and to do questions at the end if we have them. So things to keep in mind for this next review, and this is all stuff that I noticed from the previous round of reviews. So I just want to make sure that everybody's keeping this stuff in mind. So the first thing that you want to keep in mind is that you're going to want to use proper spelling and grammar. So I know that you may not have a lot of experience or you may not know a lot about spelling and grammar, and that's fine. But this is the point at which you have to start learning that and taking that seriously. You're in college now, and this is the most basic writing class at the college level that you're going to take. So that's what this class is for, right? Like that's exactly what this class is for. We're not going to spend a lot of class time going over grammar, but you're welcome to come to me and or Mrs. B anytime to talk about that kind of stuff, and we'll help you however we can. That's exactly what this is for. But you need to start taking it seriously. Now, if you are dyslexic or you have some sort of learning disability and you have accommodations, or if it's really hard for you for some particular reason, that's fine. Just let us know. We can work with you on that. But if it's just that you don't know much about it or you really don't care much about it, this is the point at which you have to start knowing and caring. Because for this unit particularly, it's about your ethos. People are going to take you more seriously. Readers are going to take you more seriously if you sound smart and professional. If I read your review and it's just absolutely littered with typos, I'm going to think okay, well, clearly this person doesn't care what they're writing about, so why should I care what they have to say about it? So it affects your ethos. So it makes you seem like you don't know or care what you're talking about if you're making careless mistakes. But again, if this is something that you have trouble with, I totally understand and you can come talk to us about it. But if it's just careless mistakes, just be mindful of it and be aware of it and make sure that you're going back over your work to make sure that you're not just making a whole bunch of typos. There's also, I've forgotten to say this in my previous classes, there is never any excuse, in my opinion, to misspell the name of someone that you're citing, because you always have the source right in front of you, whether it's a book, whether it's a web page, you have that source. You can literally copy and paste it from the page if you need to. But especially with regard to people's names, there's no reason for you to ever spell anybody's name wrong because you have it right in front of you. So that's the one thing that I feel strongly about. You should never spell anybody's name wrong if you have it right in front of you. So the next thing is that it's important to sound confident. That's another use of ethos, right? Like what I've written here is that it's a great secret use of ethos to get people on board if you just sound like you know what you're talking about. You may not know what you're talking about. You may think that you don't know what you're talking about. But if you just sound confident, people will trust you more. People will be like, oh, she must know what she's talking about. I should listen to her. So what does that mean practically, right? So that means don't hedge with phrases like, I think, or I don't know much about this, but just say what you think. If you say, I think Harry Styles' concert was the best. Okay, well, that's fine. But if you say Harry Styles' concert was the best, then I'm like, oh, clearly you know something that I don't know. I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna hear what you have to say because you have a strong opinion, and I bet you're gonna be able to back it up. That's another skill you're gonna want to learn in this class is how to use your language intentionally and to condense it in revision. And the phrase "I think" is it's rarely necessary in language, right? It just means I'm not sure about this, but if you want to sound sure about it, then you should take it out. You don't need it. You should take out all the extraneous excessive language in your writing whenever you can. The one time at which it is appropriate to say well, I don't know much about this is when you think that it might endear you to your audience to say something like that. So for instance, if you're talking to a friend and you both saw this movie trailer a few months ago and you were making fun of this movie, you were like, oh my God, that looks so dumb. And then you saw the movie and you were like, oh, actually, it's really good. I really like this movie. And you want your friend to watch it too. You might come to your friend and be like, hey, now I know that we said I know that we we're making fun of this movie. I know that you haven't seen this movie. I hadn't either until yesterday, but I just saw it and I think that you might really like it because I really liked it. So it can make somebody sympathetic to your cause of trying to convince them of something if you convince them that you're on the same team, you're on their side, oh, well, you might think that this isn't for you. I thought the same thing, but then I did it, and now I'm like, oh, I recognize that it's for me, and I think it would be for you too. And then the third thing is that you're going to want to match content and style whenever possible. This is something that people did great on in the reviews, especially everybody who did a Lizzo review. I don't know what it is about Lizzo, but basically everybody who did a Lizzo review matched content and style perfectly. They had these like excited, bubbly reviews, lots of exclamation marks, lots of talk about dancing. And it made me, when I was reading the reviews, want to go dance and like turn on Lizzo and like have a good time. So that's a great example of matching content and style. But if you're watching like a really sad concert or reviewing like a really sad album, you're going to want it to be more like solemn and calm. You're not going to want to use exclamation marks. You're not going to want to try to be funny. You're going to want to match the content of the review, so what you're reviewing, to the style of how you're writing, so that the people who like your review will know that they will also like or dislike the thing that you are writing about. If you watch a movie that's supposed to be super serious and you hate it and you think it's dumb and you want to write a review of it, then you might make that review funny because you're making fun of that movie. That's matching content and style, not directly, but for an intended effect. You're saying like, oh, look at this stupid movie. It takes itself so seriously, but actually it's funny. So I'm going to write this funny review. But if you're writing a positive review about a sad movie, then you want your review also to be sad and calm. I think that is about it. So I will stop sharing my screen and I'll ask if anybody has questions in these last 5 minutes of class. And it is okay if not, but I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to ask. Nobody? Okay, well then I will let y'all go a few minutes early. Just make sure that you get all your work done for this week. And if you're not caught up on work, make sure that you get caught up and then you reach out to us and say, hey, I went back and I did this work, so that we can go back and give you credit. Yeah, that should be it. So I hope you have a good week and I will see you again on Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi guys, y'all have a good week.
Thank you.